This is controversial advice for my black and brown girls, but I trust you can handle it. Stop being so helpful. Do less. Stand still. My mom, bless her, is Miss Do Everything. We'll be walking into our favorite organization, and she will stop to weed their plants. I had to sit her down and explain to her, as an American, what this signaled. I had to tell her to stop, because one day what we noticed was that some of our lovely, nice white compatriots would say things like, "Oh, you're really good at that because you people from the islands are so handy," or, "Oh, of course you know how to fix that. Your people are just so good with those things." And that made me pause. Now, am I saying be rude? Am I saying visit people's homes and don't offer to do anything? As a member of the Eldest Daughters Union and as literally a member of a religious tradition where the greatest act that you can do is to surrender and give your life in service, I'm not saying be selfish. What I am saying is by being the ever-serving black friend and sidekick, you are robbing people of the chance to complicate their own ideas of blackness. Unfortunately, people in the society do need to see images of black women at rest, at play, and being taken care of. Simply existing pushes back on two social expectations that are part of the American fabric in society. One, as a woman, you are a human giver. You are there to serve other people's needs. And two, as a black person, you exist to facilitate other people's flourishing. If you feel the need to prove your worth and your right to be there by always taking care of other people, you are giving a racist and patriarchal society ammunition. They will take advantage of that. They will not only take advantage of it, they will reward it, and they will code that anxiety you have as goodness. That is a trap. Remember how we talked about social narratives and scripts that color how people see you and treat you? Do you remember when a couple people on TikTok and social media pointed out that there isn't a black Alex Earl, and that social media accounts of black women just simply existing and doing well don't get as much engagement? Not only do their accounts not get the same amount of ad offers or partnerships, but they're particularly the center of hate attacks. Or what about all the stories of these fancy black influencers who tell us that they get interrogated everywhere they go as to what they do and why they do it and how they're doing it? Why are they specifically being asked to account for their ease and their comfort and why they're not suffering? In so much media, black suffering is normal, expected, and destined, but black flourishing or black excellence in the sense of it has built a community for itself where everyone is doing fine. That's spectacular. That's amazing. And some of us have to ask ourselves, why as women are we uncomfortable being cared for? We've started to talk about expanding and understanding the definition of womanism as an expression of feminism that centers black women and the men and children and the people who make up our community. While it can be hard to pin down or articulate, we as a society have an issue with women at rest. We see this in the people who denigrate. They make it their pastime to denigrate fangirls or have people explain why would they want to even go to a Taylor Swift concert or whatever other concert. It's people wondering, well, why is the book club taking so long? Like, what do you all have to talk about? And you have to earn your time off from your family. It's looking at black women who have the privilege of choosing to be housewives or work for themselves at home and getting mad at them. It's the people who say, well, you shouldn't be complaining about how little your partner does around the house. And actually, you should be buying more products that make you do it all. And dare I say, it's the lady at the store who was mad at me for buying the last coat in a certain color and then sticking her nose in my business and saying, well, it doesn't really fit you. I told her, well, my tailor will redo this for me because I actually like this coat. And then she followed me around the store. She very angrily asked me to help her find another coat from this designer. The audacity. In her mind, I had taken something I did not deserve, and the least I could do was help her find another one. I should make sure she had a replacement. And she was very angry about this. Like, the animosity was very open. It was not hidden. And I just told her, go look at the rack. Now, a couple of years ago, I would have jumped up and I would have been digging through that rack for her. I would have been operating from this place of, look, she's going to see me as being exceptionally and uniquely kind and generous to her. This is going to be a good witness to the faith tradition that I come out of. Now I've realized in this country, it's not a witness to that. It's an expectation. That's my social job. That's what I'm there for. There is a difference. Don't play into it. Another aspect of this is that women's self-care is often framed in terms of consumerist self-maintenance. We're not really doing self-care. We're paying to look prettier or shinier or be more acceptable in this society, which, especially for black women, helps us because we might get a little bit more respect or be seen as worthy of being treated properly. For women of color, being put together is a way to massage a racist society and system. That's an act of protection, not an act of rest. Getting your hair and nails done, yeah, emotionally you might feel a little better, but it's ultimately an act of external self-care, not internal self-care. Self-care is rest. It's emotional. It's internal. It's you doing something you like to do. It's engaging your mind. It's being in a safe community of people you care about. It's always bothered me that the time we are allotted for our self-care, that we're given by society that's accepted, is activity and purchases that make us look better and make us look more desirable. This still serves the needs of a society that literally punishes us and pays us less if we don't look a certain way. This is, of course, the tip of the iceberg. I could talk about how people think we work at places that we don't. I could talk about the amount of times I've been handed an item or asked, where are we supposed to go? Or can you please wrap this up for me? The historical record of Black female imagery in America has been us as a vessel of help. And up until a couple of decades ago, you could in certain states be legally mandated as a Black woman to work in a white person's home. What do you think decades of being legally allowed to be sexual conquests, only work in certain serving professions, and have our every movement tracked according to how much work we were giving a white supremacist society? What do you think that does to a country? Add on the fact that most people live in hometowns like mine where we're still very segregated. You don't have a chance to even see Black people who challenge that perception. I recently watched a scene in Mr. and Mrs. Smith on Amazon, and Donald Glover tells his wife, Jane, look, I'm not going to go in at this gala as, your husband. I'm going to go in as part of the help, because chances are there's like 6 Black guys in there and everybody knows who they are. Their wealth is already accounted for. Their power is already accounted for. If I go in there, people are going to ask questions. I'm going to be exceptional. I'm going to be something to look at. So I'm just going to go in through the job where no one's going to question who I am. I'm going to serve. There is absolutely no shame or anything wrong with being part of the force, the working force of maintenance people who keep this world turning. It's not the innovators. It's the people who carry out their ideas and keep those ideas going. That is amazing, honorable work. What isn't good is the assumptions that come with our skin color about who we are and what we deserve. What's not good is this pressure we sometimes internally carry that I don't deserve to be here and I need to justify me being here by putting on some magical Negro role. After emancipation, there were so many products that were sold through the marketing of Black effort. You can trust this syrup because Mammy made it. You can trust this soap because the Black lady we won't let go to our college, but we will let wash our dirty laundry, she approves of it. I know the Black sidekick stories are finally starting to lessen, but the default narrative still has a grip on the world. I hear from you guys about how you hold open the doors for yourself and people think, oh, you're letting me in, and they rush past you, or how you'll be walking down a sidewalk and people will bump into you because they can't imagine that you won't move. I know people ask you what you're doing with flowers and who they're for, and if you're picking out tile for somebody else's house. You have enough to carry as is, as a woman and as a Black person. There's an additional set of burdens and negotiations and choices you have to make every day to keep yourself safe. Don't pick up additional work. Don't work yourself to death trying to prove anything. Don't explain yourself. Don't answer the question if they ask if your husband is a rapper or a basketball player. Don't tell them why you are buying what you're buying. Don't accept every volunteer position people try to give you. Women constantly at work and Black people working 24/7 is how they keep us from dreaming. It's how they keep us from rest. If you're burned out, you can't creatively dream up a new life for yourself. You can't plot, you can't scheme, you can't organize. Women at rest have the time to know what they like and why they like it and what they want to do about it. You know what feels good, and you have the time to think, what is going to serve me and my community? What helps us? There are a couple practical guides for this that we're going to be looking at this week, but I would say first off, Trisha Hersey and her nap ministry. Go look it up. Anybody anywhere can take 15 minutes, right? You don't need fancy things. You don't need a whole trip to Italy. You don't need any of that stuff to start to reclaim these parts of your humanity and do less. What you do have to do deep down is listen to that ancient voice that lies, that says you have to work all the time to be worth anything, and stop listening to it. You are not a replaceable machine. We can't change people, but we can free ourselves from the fear that keeps us in our place. Your place is wherever you want to be.